So much of our public discourse is based on difference, as if difference is somehow deficient. Right after the election, all we heard about the demographics changing. How can the Republicans compete in the future? Can Democrats maintain their newfound majority? Is the GOP a white person's only party? This serves only to mask the fact of America's original sin, which is still racist, to rear its ugly head without notice. We can discuss so-called economic solutions without discussing the underlying reasons why America is changing. Our manufacturing base is declining. I don't care what race you are. Towns that were created around major industries have closed down. They're also hurting. Doesn't matter what gender you are. Individuals with different backgrounds, race, and gender are far more concerned with grabbing the lifeline of hope than talking about what makes us different. Because if we all talk, no matter however different we are, if we just sat down and talk, we all pretty much want the same thing. We want possibility. We don't want to believe that this is all there is to life. We want to believe that there is still a hope that is greater than our tough times. But that's how darkness covers the abyss. In a moment when the nation turned ever so slightly closer to the Jeffersonian Creed, to behold these truths to be self-evident that all are created equal, or ever so slightly to Lincoln's vision that the nation can't survive half slave and half free, or ever so slightly the King's words that we would have a world where his children would not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. Darkness wants to still question the country's changing demographics. We see how the shadow of darkness hovers over countries ravaged by war, poverty, disease, and hopelessness. We see the tentacles of darkness in the form of corporate greed tightening around the necks of the middle class in America and the poor families abroad. We see the influence of darkness in urban public schools and how it spills over to the streets in the form of violence and apathy. We see how darkness, which has at its root our pain, our frustration, our lament, can infiltrate the souls of those we love. But the text reminds us that our light has come. Our hope has arrived. Our redemption is at hand. The energy-producing sensation of brightness, the source of illumination, the revelation of knowledge, the daily reminder that we are to embark on a new day, a new beginning, that which will lead us without failure along the path of darkness and uncertainty, and our ability to see in a new way is revealed to us in the birth of the Christ child. But one of the most effective tools that darkness has at its disposal is a seductive weapon of fear. Notice, if you will, in the Matthew text, verse 3, when Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem with him. Verse 3 suggests to me that all of Jerusalem is ripe for the evil of darkness, because all of Jerusalem is now afraid. Fear tricks us into looking external rather than internal. It provides us with a clear conscience to justify evil. That's what fear does. Well-meaning Germans justify the Holocaust. Well-meaning Americans justify Japanese internment during World War II. Well-meaning whites justify Jim Crow. Well-meaning Christians justify homophobia. Well-meaning Americans justify ignoring the Constitution because of post-9/11 fears. Fear will keep us spiritually stagnant. Fear will cause self-inflicted wounds. Fear will keep us mean-spirited and cold-hearted. Fear will make life a predictable routine rather than the unpredictable adventure that life is supposed to be. There is no spiritual growth in fear, no grace in fear, no mercy, no love, no forgiveness, no compassion, no hope, no possibility, no epiphany, and therefore there is no Jesus. Fear taps into our bigotry, opens the floodgates to division, makes us immune to any self-reflective impulses, and encourages our hatred. To paraphrase the late Sloane Coffin, fear causes us to use the Bible the way a drunk uses a lamppost, always for support and never for illumination. When we are cloaked in fear, we cannot see the light that has shined since the beginning of time. But just because we're unable to see it does not mean the light is not shining. See, the light was shining while Pharaoh's heart was still hardened. The light was shining while nobody was willing to listen to Jeremiah. The light was shining while Peter was denying Jesus. The light was shining while Paul was on his way to persecute the church. The light was shining before the women got to the tomb. The light was shining even during the Spanish Inquisition. The light was shining even during slavery. The light was shining during the Trail of Tears. The light was shining during Jim Crow. The light was shining even when women couldn't vote. The light was shining during the Holocaust and apartheid. The light was shining when neither one of us had a dime. The light was shining when your relationship was coming apart at the seams. The light was shining when you laid in your bed of affliction, not sure if you were going to make it. The light was shining as you toiled like John the Baptist, isolated and confused, wondering if Jesus was the right one or should you look for another. The light was shining so everyone can see that there is a hope that is superior to whatever challenges confront you. That there is a joy that no tragedy can eliminate. That there is a fire that burns deep within our souls. That no bush, whether real or figurative, can consume. For the light has come. The collective calls to rise and shine and give glory of the Lord has risen upon us in an inclusive light that is not bound by race, gender, orientation, age, occupation, tax bracket, zip code, or education level. The inclusive nature of the light, open to whoever wants to receive it, provides second chances, even after darkness has declared that we are guilty with no hope for parole. Long after darkness presents us with a life sentence, the inclusive nature of the light renders such verdicts null and void. The season of Epiphany reminds us that darkness and light have very different agendas. Darkness wants to destroy, the light wants to build. Darkness wants to hate, but the light wants to love. Darkness wants to fracture hope, the light restores hope. Darkness takes life, the light gives life. Darkness wants fragments, the light folds. Darkness divides while the light unifies. Darkness hungers for greed while the light thirsts for righteousness. Darkness wants war, the light wants peace. Darkness wants to corrupt folk, the light calls sinners into repentance. Darkness blames while the light forgives. Darkness seeks unkindness while the light seeks grace. Darkness seeks cruelty, the light seeks mercy. Darkness believes in 3 strikes, while the light believes in second chances. Darkness, bad news, the light, good news. Darkness believes that Jesus was sent here to make you rich, while the light believes that Jesus was sent here to set the captives free. Darkness wants you to stay right here in the church, make as much noise as you want, while the light wants you to go down the Jericho road of need and stop. Darkness doesn't understand that Michael was right, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Darkness doesn't understand that Isaiah was right, that I will keep those in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on God. Darkness doesn't understand the Apostle Paul was right. I do not consider the suffering of this present time to be compared with the glory that is about to be revealed. The Epiphany has been revealed. The Christ child has been born. The light still shines. The glory of the Lord has risen upon us. This is our wake-up call resurrection for 2013. Arise, shine, give God the glory, for the world still covered in the shadows of darkness and uncertainty needs to see the God that has been manifested in each and every one of you. Have a good week. Amen. Amen.
There's a song, I guess you call it a call and response, where they sing, shine